TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations.
Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. Western allies of Israel, to include Britain, Norway, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, sanctioned two Israeli government ministers. Houthis launch ballistic missiles against Israeli territory, while the Israeli Navy destroys a large section of the Houthi-controlled al-Hodeidah port. U.S. Central Command Commander General Michael Kurilla says the United States stands at the ready to apply overwhelming force to prevent a nuclear-armed Iran. The United Kingdom, Norway, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand have jointly announced sanctions against Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir and Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich.
These two individuals, Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, have been inciting violence against Palestinian people for months and months and months. They have been encouraging egregious abuses of human rights. We have been raising this with the Israeli government, both privately and publicly. We were raising it before we came to government, and indeed the last government raised it as an issue. And alongside our partners, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Norway, today we are announcing sanctions against those individuals because we have been absolutely clear. This has to stop, and we stand for a two-state solution. And the settler violence that we've seen in the West Bank particularly is entirely unacceptable.
London's top diplomat continued by highlighting that the sanctions include asset freezes and travel bans for both sitting government ministers. Meanwhile, in Jerusalem, Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar responded to the decision by the UK in particular to sanction duly elected members of Israel's government.
We were informed about UK decision to include two of our ministers on the British sanctions list. It is outrageous that elected representatives and members of the government are subjected to this kind of measures. I discussed it earlier today with Prime Minister Netanyahu, and we will hold a special government meeting early next week to decide on our response to this unacceptable decision.
Jerusalem's top diplomat continued by addressing the expulsion of the 12 radical left activists who sought to breach Israel's blockade on the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip for propaganda purposes.
On early Sunday morning, the selfie yacht, a PR stunt, was safely brought to the shores of Israel by the IDF. Greta, persona non grata, received food and good treatment. Israel acted in a peaceful manner. I want to be clear, this persona non grata will not be allowed to stay in Israel.
Greta Thunberg, upon arrival in France en route to Sweden, claimed that Israel was breaking the law by not allowing their aid into the Gaza Strip, while claiming further that she and her fellow activists were essentially kidnapped by Israel en route to Gaza.
This is yet another international a violation of international rights, adding to the list of countless of such, especially towards Palestinians, that Israel are committing by blocking and preventing humanitarian aid from entering Gaza. That is illegal. They did an illegal act by kidnapping us on international waters and against our will, bringing us to Israel, keeping us in the bottom of the boat, not letting us getting out, and so on.
While Thunberg's knowledge of international law is seemingly limited at best, Foreign Minister Sa'ar, for his part, highlighted that Israel would deliver the tiny amount of aid on the yacht to Gaza.
Greta and her friends brought in a tiny amount of aid on their celebrity yacht. they did not help the people of Gaza. This was nothing but a ridiculous gimmick, a publicity stunt, and nothing more. In any case, it's our intention to deliver to Gaza the tiny amount of aid on the yacht that they did not consume.
Minister Sal further noted that a number of the activists, including EU Parliament member Rima Hassan, who became a French citizen after entering the country legally with her family from Syria, refused to sign a document before the proceeding of her deportation.
Member of the European Parliament, Rima Hassan, has so far refused to sign deportation documents, as have 7 others. According to Israeli law, they should be brought before a judicial authority to authorize their deportation.
Meanwhile, Israeli Foreign Minister Sal addressed Israel's latest attack on the Houthi-controlled port in Yemen's Hodeidah, destroying a large portion of it.
Israeli forces attacked targets of the Houthis in the Hodeidah port. The Houthis threaten the stability of the Middle East, Africa, and international shipping lanes. They use the civil port for the purposes of terror. They have attacked Israel since October 7th, unprovoked, even though we share no border. They continue to fire missiles and drones at our communities. Israel will continue to fight terror in all forms and on all fronts.
The attack, which was conducted by the Israeli Navy's 3rd flotilla for the first time in history, was conducted in response to repeated launches of ballistic missiles by the Houthis toward Israeli territory, including last night when debris from the intercepted projectile caused damage to civilian structures in the vicinity of Jerusalem. Nevertheless, thankfully, no injuries were reported. Meanwhile, at the U.S. Congressional Armed Services Committee, outgoing U.S. Central Command Commander General Michael Kurilla was asked about the situation vis-à-vis the Houthis after President Trump announced an end to the American offensive operation that aimed at degrading the Iranian proxy.
So I would tell you right now that the Iranian proxies are at one of the weakest levels they've been. What they did, decimation of the disintegration of the Hezbollah, Hamas. However, the Houthis, the biggest challenge with the Houthis is they are being provided with Iranian weapons. They provide the weapons and they assemble them inside of Yemen. There are experts from the IRGC that are inside of Yemen helping them to be able to manufacture these systems as well. So this is going to be a challenge going forward. We have got to stop the flow of the weapons into Yemen.
General Kurilla was asked further by Congressman Van Orden to elaborate on Iran's methods of smuggling of munitions to the Houthis in Yemen.
Do we know how the Houthis are being resupplied by Iran?
Vast majority of it is by sea. They put them on. They come out of the ports in Iran. They put them on dhows, stateless dhows. Some of them go on maritime vessels into Djibouti. On the UN vessel inspection mechanism, they put stuff inside a container. If you have a ship with 500 containers and it's in the bottom of it, you can put all those sensitive components in the bottom of that. Now, a positive thing that just happened in the last month is that the UN vessel inspection mechanism decided to go to 100% inspection of containers. I think it needs to be 100% unloading of all the containers to see what's inside of them. But that's a positive step, but probably about 80 to 85% goes by sea.
General Kurilla was also asked about whether the Houthis provided know-how vis-à-vis its UAV and ballistic missile experience to U.S. adversaries globally.
I will take you back to July of 2024. We killed 7 individuals in Iraq that were setting up 2 UAVs. Of the 7 individuals killed, there was a Houthi UAV expert, a brigadier general. There was an Iranian IRGC UAV expert there. There was 3 Kataib Hezbollah individuals there as well, and there was a Lebanese Hezbollah individual there as well. So we are seeing that. There is Houthis have outreach to Russia. They have gone to China. They have cells in Iran. They're in Syria. They're in Lebanon as well.
Meanwhile, amid rising tensions between the United States and the Islamic Republic of Iran over large gaps remaining regarding the latter's nuclear program, General Kurilla was asked whether the United States Central Command was prepared for an overwhelming attack against the Islamic Republic of Iran.
If the president directed, is CENTCOM prepared to respond with overwhelming force to prevent a nuclear-armed Iran?
I have provided the Secretary of Defense and the President a wide range of options.
I take that as a yes.
Yes.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. As ever, it is important for us to highlight that TV7 Israel is a non-profit ministry with our productions 100% donation-based. Therefore, if you're blessed by the content of our programs, we would like to encourage you to donate. You can do so via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. Moreover, I'd like to encourage you, pray for the hostages who've now endured 614 days in Hamas captivity. Pray also for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hassan wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, we will see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.